What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. These are people that are choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but choosing to go out there and create greatness for themselves and for their family. All right, you guys, so today I got a guest on the show that I'm so stoked and excited to have on. This is just a dude that's an absolute badass, very successful entrepreneur in the fitness space. He's a guy that created success, was humbled, lost that success, and had to go out there and recreate and rebuild, as we've seen so many successful entrepreneurs do. So really excited to have him on the show to share his journey and drop some knowledge on you guys. So really stoked and excited to have Casey Washak on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. You know, I love, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and health and fitness is something that's extremely important to me. I know that I would never have the success that I have with not just my businesses, but with my wife and my kids and every aspect of life. It affects every quality of your life. And so I always love, like, you're like my favorite type of guest, dude, right? You're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman, you're a driver, but obviously you are very, very passionate about the health and fitness space. So before we get into what you're doing today, man, because I know you got a lot going on, let's talk about your journey that led you to entrepreneurship, man. I'm always really, interested in our guest of what led you down this path, because us entrepreneurs, man, we're kind of odd individuals, right? to go do what we do. So what led you down this path in the first place?
Well, I'll say it was baseball cards and comic books. So like when my brother and I were kids, we were given an allowance that my dad was cheap, $5, I don't know what allowances are today, but ours was $5, and that was 2 packs of baseball cards. So for us, it was, how can we get more baseball cards, more comic books? So I mean, we were mowing lawns, we were shoveling snow. We would every summer we'd go down to Florida, and if you've ever been there, there's lizards running all over the place. We're from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, so we bring down butterfly nets and like plastic fish tanks, catch a bunch of lizards, bring them back up to Jersey, sell them $1 a piece to the pet stores, and that would fund our baseball card habit. So from there, man, I ended up in the Marine Corps, and for what we do, we get paid peanuts. And so for me, I've always been somebody that looks for solutions and looks for like holes in the game, and like what people need and how to service that. So I started a 7-Eleven out of my room, because the closest on-base 7-Eleven was like 2 miles. So when we're off work and drinking, nobody wants to walk 2 miles to the 7-Eleven to get stuff. So Hot Pockets, sodas, even toilet paper, man. I made more money having a 7-Eleven in my room than I did being a Marine. And so it just kept growing from there, man. And obviously with what I was doing in the Marine Corps kind of led me to fitness, but it's always been in our blood to just try to find solutions and try to find ways to create the lifestyle we want.
I love that, dude. So I got a couple follow-up questions there, man, because that's pretty amazing, dude. So when you were a kid and you're selling lizards and you're doing all of that, did you have a family member or a mentor that maybe kind of helped plant those ideas, or was that just like you guys just kind of pulled that out of the air and just kind of figured that out on your own, not really knowing what you were doing?
So I'll say our dad instilled that in us. Our dad was always a similar type guy who was always... We would hear the stories about how he was making an extra buck as a kid, and so it just kind of got brought down generationally. My dad, crazy, he can't be an entrepreneur, and he's afraid. He needs to know that a paycheck's coming in, and I think he grew up in during his parents grew up during the Depression. And so, like, they lived a real modest life. So he needs to know that a paycheck's coming in every day. So that's kind of what happened, man. Is he would always mention, well, if you want more, go get it. Like, I gave you $5. Now, how do you turn that to 10? We got into the stock market early on. We'd have a game to where he'd give us like $20, fun money, and we would like invest in stocks. And over the month, we'd have a contest who did the best, and that just got instilled in us early, and that's exactly what I'm doing with my kids, and and so on and so forth, man.
It's like the whole, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, if I have a fruit tree, I can pick that fruit and go create a lemonade stand. So money does, and when you grow up in that different environment, man, it's so powerful. So, all right, so that transition, you jump into the Marine Corps, you're doing that. At what point do you what was the decision to get out of the Marine Corps and then go full on to entrepreneurship? Like, what was kind of happening internally, and how did you come to that conclusion that was the decision for you?
So I thought I was going to be a lifer. I thought I was going to be in for 20 years. I absolutely loved my job. I was a machine gunner, and then I also became a close combat instructor for our battalion. So I was teaching 1,500 Marines how to fight and how to do hand-to-hand combat. But that entrepreneurial spirit's always been in me, and like I said, I was making more money as running a 7-Eleven out of my room than I was being a Marine. And on top of it, I got to the point where I became a sergeant in the Marine Corps in my first 4 years, which is for a grunt, it's pretty good. But the prerequisite for staff sergeant, which is the next rank up, is you have to be a sergeant for 4 years. And so I could save babies from a burning building. I could take a bullet for the president, and I would still be stuck at $1,700 a month for the next 4 years. And that didn't sit well with me. And as you get out, they offer you a lot of different opportunities, and I just didn't see how that would fit with my vision. And then the closer you get, it almost turns into, well, you're not going to make it. And they invested, the government has invested a lot of money in me, and then I'm about to walk after 4 years. So I get it, but I just told
them that you're not going to make it. That's them saying that to you. That wasn't like an internal belief system that you had.
No. They told that to me, and actually they told that to me to try to get me to stay. And they told me about people who got out and for whatever reason went back in, which is fine, but that wasn't in me. And I just told them, look, man, I could start tomorrow at McDonald's scraping gum off the bottom of seats, but in 4 years I'll be running that bitch. And so then it was funny. I had a staff sergeant. I don't think he really liked me that well, but he said, I'd like to see you try. So when I bought my first house, I sent him a picture. When I opened my first gym, sent him a picture. When I opened my second gym, sent him a picture. When I bought my second house, sent him a picture. So he actually, whether he knows it or not, in a reverse way, he actually like lit a fire, a big fire. And so that was it, man. It's with what I was doing in the Marine Corps, I was a close combat instructor and a machine gunner. But what ended up happening was, you leave boot camp like a machine. You spent 90 days just honing in on your physical self. Like every day, 2-3 hours a day, you're working out. But once you get to what they call the fleet, like your duty station, it turns into more like, I would say like college, where you have your classes, you got stuff you got to do, and in certain cases, by 5 p.m., you're off. And then that's when you start making those bad decisions, the pizza, the beer. And so what ended up happening to me was, because I was involved, I was a close combat instructor, I was involved in MMA, I was on the wrestling team. My higher-ups literally forced me to train the guys who were slacking and who were unfit for our job. We were grunts, man. If we can't get to the fight, we're dead. So if we're out of shape and we can't get the machine gun to the battle, we're gonna hurt the whole team. So what ended up happening was they took away my lunch hour to train these guys who are unfit, unsat, as they call it, unsatisfactory. And so 3 hours a week, I just like I tried to kill them. Like, you took my lunch hour away. I'm doing everything I got to do. But one by one, they didn't have to come back to me. And my CO, my commanding officer, said, "Hey, man, you're pretty good at this." And so that's kind of what led me to fitness. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to make people throw up in the civilian world like 3 times a week. So that's why I had to like start learning more of the science behind exercise and like streamlining the approach, because as a Marine, we have 24/7 to do it. But a middle-aged woman who has 3 kids and a career, I got maybe 3 hours a week. How do I do it? So that's where it led me to fitness.
So when you were growing up, I mean, were you always into wrestling and mixed martial arts, or was that something that just happened once you got into the Marine Corps?
I've been wrestling since I was 8 years old. I played baseball, tried soccer for a couple of years. That didn't take. So once I joined the Marines, though, I was on the wrestling team, and a good friend of mine, I took him down. He threw me in an armbar, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" This is like 1998, so it's like UFC was just coming around, and he was like, "Oh, it's jiu-jitsu, man." I was like, "I gotta learn that." And then that kind of led me, once I started taking jiu-jitsu, my higher-ups noticed, and that's when they sent me to become a close combat instructor. And then that's kind of a little bit of everything. And then once I got out, I did MMA for a while. But at that point, like I'm an entrepreneur. We were already like starting our gym, and I knew that like the gym is where I'm going to make my mark, not necessarily MMA.
When you were leaving the Marine Corps, because at that point you had already discovered your passion, which was health and fitness, through your experience there. So you knew that at that point, like, dude, I'm leaving here and I'm gonna figure out a way to get in the fitness industry, right? So so then walk us through that, man. You leave. How do you get started, dude? Because especially like gyms, I mean, that's big brick and mortar. You know that's. I mean, it's a lot of damn money. I mean, people don't understand the cost of a treadmill, right? And all this equipment. So how did that? You leave. You're starting this new journey. Like, where'd you begin? What was that like, dude?
Yeah, I if you're on the right path, I believe you're like, if you believe in God or whatever you believe in, there will be signs that like it'll be hard to miss. So I actually started. I got an apartment. I noticed they had a room that's like a conference room that nobody used. My rent was supposed to be like $1,000 a month. So I went to them and I'm like, "Hey, I'm a personal trainer. Why don't you reduce my rate by a couple $100, and you could say now that you have a on-site personal trainer, and I'll take people whenever they call me." And didn't get really anybody to jump. But now I actually gave a perk to the apartment complex saying they have an on-site personal trainer, and I got $200 a month off my rent. So I actually took a job at the local hospital, and what ended up happening was, I wasn't there for anything fitness related, and I just kept having nurses and doctors ask me, "What do I do about this?" And how do I get rid of my love handles? And so they had a little gym there. I'm like, I'll train you. And so I was training them after work. And the craziest story about all this is my apartment complex. I lived upstairs. I didn't really know anybody. I moved to a different area from where I was stationed in the Marine Corps. I was taking out my trash and I dropped my bag. Went all over the place. My downstairs neighbor came out. And she said, she's helping me. She asked what I do, and I'm like, I work at the hospital, but I'm trying to get my personal training business off the ground. Turns out her sister's been a personal trainer in this area for like 20 years. Gives me a card. I called it. I actually took the step and called it. And this lady took me around to all the different gyms, introduced me to all the different owners, and within And then so that ended. She gave me this awesome opportunity to meet everybody. I'm back at the hospital. I'm training people. I'm noticing my after work job of training. I'm getting paid more than being an employee at the hospital. So what ends up happening is I'm like, you know what? Sink or swim. I'm out. Like, I'm gonna make this work. So I quit, and literally the next week, one of those owners, this is like 6, 8 months later, one of those owners from those 10 gyms called me, and he's like, "Hey man, you got any time? Because I got some people I can't train. I'd love you to come over here and train them." So it was like serendipity, man. Like I thought I was gonna have like a vacation a little bit, and like I stocked up my money, but so I ended up training at this gym. This guy wanted to sell his gym. At this point in time, it's been a couple years. My brother and I, we bought a house together. My brother moved out from Pennsylvania once this guy mentioned to me that he was going to sell me his gym. So my brother and I, entrepreneurs, we bought our first house together. This guy says, "Hey, I'm going to sell you my gym in 2 years." So I tell my brother, he moves out. We start training together at this gym. 2 years is up. We pull out the equity to sell to give this guy his check for the gym, and he doubled the price on us. And you son of a. So it was at the time that sucked, but it's the best thing that ever happened to us because it forced us at that point to go out on our own. And we're like, you know what? We're gonna make this happen. We got 50 grand, a check right here for 50 grand that we pulled out. Let's go make it happen. So that's what we used to open our first gym. You and I were talking before this, talking about undercapitalization. We were definitely undercapitalized, but like we were talking about, it's all about the hustle. And on a side note, I don't believe in the word grind. I think that's a negative connotation. If you're grinding, that's obviously something you're not passionate about. I think like hustle, like we were saying, like that's the word because you know what the end game is, and you know that every step you take is moving you towards that end game. Like grinding just sounds like you grind when you're like studying for a test. Like you don't grind when you're creating the life you want. So we opened our first gym. I don't know how far you want me to go, man, because I'm about to take you through the whole road.
Well, so I grew up in that, and my father owned and operated gyms for 30 years. That was like my first love, dude. So, and I was a district manager running 5 facilities for Powerhouse. Wow. So I love it, man. So go as deep as you want to go, man, because I love it.
So our first gym, 5,000 square feet. This is 2006. We opened up. By 2008, we were the best gym in the valley. So we won best gym in the valley. During that period of time, my brother and I were not taking a paycheck. So it's not that we were bad at what we were doing. It's we just didn't have certain systems in place. So we had raving fans, and just because of how we set up our gym, we were failing. So we had success. People thought we were successful, but we weren't taking home a paycheck, or at least a steady one. So 2008 and 2009, so 2 to 3 years after we opened, we won best gym in the valley 2 years in a row. By 2010, we were going out of business. And it was just because we just didn't have the systems in place.
Yeah, and it's all right, man. I'm running out of juice here on my computer, so I had to find a power supply. So yeah, dude. So, well, let's talk about that, man. Because I mean, you got I don't know if you've read the book The E-Myth, right? But he talks about 80% of entrepreneurs fell in their first 5 years, and in year 5 to 10, 80% of that made it fail, and it's because, dude, they're brilliant at what they do. They're a brilliant chef, but they don't know how to run a restaurant. Yeah. Right? So, and that's what you guys were doing. Like, you knew how to train people, you knew how to motivate people, but like you didn't have the system. So you're failing there. Like, how did you identify what the hole was? And then what did you start doing to go out there and plug those holes and taking that action?
So funny part is this is the period. So basically 2006, 2010. Personal training was like how you delivered results, one on one. Then you had like boot camps and things. And first thing we did was we realized that we were having similar conversations hour after hour. And I left the Marine Corps when I was 21 years old. And so here I am trying to personal train people. And I'm a young guy. And I'm dealing with middle-aged women. I'm dealing with CEOs of different companies. And I'm trying to motivate them. And they potentially are looking at me like, guy, you've never walked in my shoes. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know family life and balancing career. And I'm a single guy. Actually, I was married at this point, but other than that, like no real responsibilities but my gym, no kids in the picture or anything. So that's when we were like, we keep, one of the things in our town is, I'm not sure if you heard about it. It's the Betty Ford Center. Have you heard of the Betty Ford Center? All right. So it's a famous drug rehabilitation center. This is like where all the celebrities go. But this is a place that people go to change. Like they hit rock bottom and they say like, either if I keep going down this route, I'm going to die. I'm going to kill myself. Like I'm going to eventually die from having these horrible habits. And what I realized was, it was a crapshoot who would listen to me. Like if I'm training one individual and I'm giving them a roadmap, but I only see them 2 to 3 hours a week, that's a lot of self-discipline on their end that they have to do in order to achieve those goals. And in many cases, people need much more. So I'm not, in 168 hours in a week, I'm seeing them for 3. And some people aren't grasping it. And like I said, my 6 o'clock hour, 7 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock hour, and so on, I'm saying the same things. And it's just like Groundhog's Day. And so that's when we were like, why is the Betty Ford Center so successful? One, they get everybody into a group. And they say, we're going to do this shit together. You need somebody to lean on and multiple people to lean on if you're truly going to change. And it has to be people who are going through the same things. Like in AA, like your sponsor is a dude going through the program. It's not somebody who's never been an alcoholic. So the whole thing is, so we were like, we need to put these people together. And so, yes, I'm not a 55-year-old woman with a kid about to go to college, and I've been focused on my family, and now I've lost myself. And now that's affected my relationship with my husband. And now he's looking elsewhere. Like, how do I get this back? And now I'm going to listen to this 22, 23-year-old? Are you nuts? But what if I can get you in a room with other 55-year-olds or people in a similar situation who are making it happen? So that's how we like developed Fit in 42. Was like, let's get these people all into a room, tell them everything they need to know. Let's talk about nutrition. I'm going to tell you exactly what to eat. I'm going to, you're going to exercise with us every day, so it's top of the mind awareness. We're gonna change the way you look at health and fitness. Like, don't ask me the cost of this program. It's a friggin' investment. I can never take it away from you after you do it. You're going to learn, so it's not a 42-day investment. It's a 30, 40, 50 year, however long you have left on this earth. Like the minute you walk into this program, I'm going to change you and you will be forever changed. So you can't quantify that and try to, put that on your balance sheet. So and what's crazy was, originally, we were going to charge $250 for this program, and We test piloted a 10-week, 3-day-a-week program for $175, and over 50% of the people quit. And we were like, what the hell happened? And one of the things we did at the end was we were going to give the person who lost the most amount of weight $5,000. So we had a guy lose 77 pounds in that 10 weeks, and he actually became a trainer for us. So we changed a few lives, but 50% of those people who needed it quit because they didn't think they were going to win. And they lost the whole point of the program, in the fact that we're going to try to change your life. And it became more of a lottery, like an opportunity to win money. And so that failure led us to Fit in 42, and like I said, that 10-week was $175. We were going to charge $250 for Fit in 42 until one of my clients, who's a heavy set guy himself, was like, you charge me $75 an hour. What would you charge me if I was going to do that for 42 days? You would charge me way more than $250. Then you're gonna like stay on my ass like daily. You're gonna call me if I don't show up. You're going to tell me exactly what to eat every day. You're gonna hold me accountable to it. He's like, I think you should charge like $2,000 for this. And we had just lost our gym at that point. And so we really had nothing to lose. But at the same time, nobody else was charging anywhere near that for any sort of program. So we were like, all right, let's try 1,000. So I went into work on Monday morning in front of my boot camp class. I said, guys, this is what we're doing. Here's this program. And 3 people signed up right there. And at the end of our 4-week cycle of trying to get people to sign up, we had 32 people who joined us for this first program. And we were like, holy shit, like this is it. We just lost our house. We lost our gym. Now, I left that little part out. We lost our gym. I actually gave the keys to our gym to a competitor. Now we worked for him. So all of a sudden, we got $32,000. My brother and I, split between us. That's more than we made like the previous 4 years combined. And we were like, this is it. So what ended up happening was we did another one. That made us 50. And then the next one made us like 54. And then all of a sudden we realized the more we focused on this program and doubling down on it, getting psychologists to be a part of it, more dietitians, what else can we add? Every program we finish, and we still do it to this day, my brother and I go away for 3 days and we say, was there any new situation that came up that we didn't know how to handle? And what can we add to make sure that person in the future gets results? So we just doubled down on this and doubled down on it, went all in on it. But our gym, our other clientele and our other business was falling apart. So that's when I started to seek out mentors on systemizing the gym and having like a sales process, not just Jerry and my brother's Jerry, not just Jerry and I handling everything. You know, what if we go on vacation or something? Boom, like gym crashes and fails. So that's what led us to systemizing our gym to where we can focus on growing Fit in 42.
Yep, love it, man. So when you go,
Talker, man.
yeah, no, I love it, dude. That's badass. You know, I mean, what's cool about it is, you know, I mean, you can just tell by listening to not just this, but even your childhood. It's, hey, man, I got a problem. Let's figure out how to solve this problem. And even if you fail the first few times, like you're always just looking for those solutions. I had a gentleman that this guy consults with Bill Gates of the world, and I mean he's but he's like, you got a problem? Congratulations, you're halfway on your way to being a billionaire.
Yes.
Right? So I love it, man. So when it comes to the systems, though, dude, because again, this is where we see so many people fall short when it comes to the automation of their businesses, and I know you got a mentor there, but what were some of the? I know there's probably thousands of things that you did, but what were some like the few ones that you guys did that you can share just to give some examples that were kind of a game changer for you inside that part of your business?
Well, at that point in time, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners who own gyms are in the same spot, but like Next Level Fitness is the name of my gym, right? But Next Level Fitness had a bunch of independent contractors working in there. So my brother and I had a mission statement. But, in the game of having independent contractors, like they can come and go as they please. So we really didn't have an identity outside of my brother and I. So that's one of the first things we did is make everyone employees, everyone who wanted to join our vision. And I used a lot of what I learned in the Marine Corps. Like, that obviously that is such a systematic, branch of service. Like, we're always Marines. Like, don't ever call me an ex-Marine. I'm going to jump down your throat. Like, I've earned that title and I'm going to keep that title. Like, all the branches are great. But the Marine Corps has taken that to a whole nother level to where we will always be Marines. I didn't join the Army for 4 years. No, I'm a Marine. Yeah, and so that's kind of how we've indoctrinated our staff. And so the next step was, how do I get my flavor into the rest of my staff? Like, what was making us, part of our downfall was the fact that we weren't able to clone ourselves. Because I had independent contractors. I had the CrossFit dude and the yoga girl and the Pilates girl, you know what I mean? And the bodybuilder dude. Like, everyone had their own methodology. And so that's what I'm saying. Once we kind of systemize that, like, who are we? How do we deliver results? And so the minute you systemize that, you can guarantee results. Because now you have test subjects every time someone walks through your door and signs up. You have a system you run them through. It's not a crapshoot. And so that was a big one. Just hiring people and letting people go, like hiring people who see the vision and who are a part of it, 100% in. Like, if you train on the side, you don't work for me. You're either all in, and I'm going to reward you. Paid vacations, 401k, all that stuff. The stuff trainers usually don't get. But if you want to do stuff on the side, cool. You just can't work here. Like, you're either all in or you're not. So just that was one of the things I always tell people about this. And so this is if you take anything away from this, here's a simple one you can do today. Rev.com. It's actually an app. So one of the things I do is if I have a new employee and I need to teach them something, let's say like how to answer my phone. It's an app to where you can voice record you going through the steps. And then literally it's $1 a minute and they'll transcribe it and send it back to you. That's something you never have to do again. You put that shit in a binder and you have everything you need. You do a couple of these a day and your whole gym is systemized in a matter of time. So it's just stuff like that. Like, instead of like talking to someone and say, hey, what did I say? Let me type. I suck at typing. Don't text me. It's going to take me 45 minutes to text you back. But I'll voice record you a message, So that's really helped us out.
I'm a big systems guy, right? And I tell everybody anything that you ever do more than once inside your organization must have a system.
Absolutely.
Now, in your business, because I'm not in the health club space. Some of my stuff is more, apparel sales and real estate. I mean, where some of this stuff's easy to track, right? Because as the business owner, dude, you got the system in place, but then you need to inspect what you expect. How are you able to do that? Like, how are you making sure that everybody's executing on that stuff?
We got to be present. I think it's really interesting that a lot, like, there's this, especially when you've been in the game a long time, you think like, once I get the systems down, I'm just gonna be living on the beach, and that's when things start to go south. A lot of like the top guys are still in their gym. They might not be training 15 hours a day, but they're there. They're present. They're the figureheads, so to speak. And it's just, I would like, one of my big things is if you truly believe in what you're doing, you should be a product of what you're doing. And what I mean by that is a lot of us in the gym industry, we train people one way, and then we do our own thing completely different. So how do you know it truly works then? Because you don't even do it. So I am a client at my own gym, and actually I have two gyms, so I bounce back and forth. And so this lets me inspect, like, it lets me get into the mind of a client and see, like, God, that, like, we can fix that. That part was boring as hell, or you know what I mean, or like, how do we make this more exciting, or how can we get more out of this aspect? But at the same time, it's so I get to see how people coach. I get to see strengths and weaknesses, and the staff expects that, and the staff knows that's coming. So it's not. And awesome part is I'm in this with my brother and our wives. Like, our wives aren't a part of the business, but they're clients too. And so, like, we're getting all this feedback. And then, the more you stay in tune with your members, they're going to let you know, especially the ones who've been with me for 15 years. They're going to tell me who they love. And, like, I don't know about this guy, but, like, they've been a part of the journey. So they feel like they're almost part owner. So it's really neat.
Yep, I love it, man. Love it, dude. So, and maybe I missed this, dude, but I know that you said you handed the keys over to your competitor. At what point did you get it? Were you able to buy it back, or did you just at some point recreate your new gym from scratch?
So that's what we did. We gave this guy. So we gave him the keys. We said we don't want it anymore. We can't handle it. He took it over, and the deal was we'll give you 365 days. Like, we will stay here for 365 days. We paid this guy rent. But the funny part was he ended up, like, failing as well. And then all of a sudden, here are these two guys who gave him the keys. Now they created this program that just brought in 32 grand, and he can do math. Like, he's counting the people who came in the gym, and he's getting a little kickback from it. He's like the monthly membership. He's getting that for the people who didn't have it, who weren't part of the gym. But what ended up happening was definitely our visions were not in line. This guy was like we like to say our gym's like Cheers, the show Cheers. But this guy took it to a whole nother level with having beer and popcorn in the gym. And here I am trying to get people to change their.
All right, what's up, peeps? Sorry about that. If you're watching this and you're wondering why the change in environments, I was out of town last week when Casey and I first started this interview, and my computer crashed, ran out of memory, man. So we had to pick up with round two here. So with that being said, though, let's just jump back in, man. So when we left off last time, Casey, you were just going through talking about getting back your facility. You handed the keys over to the new owner. The vision wasn't aligned. He was failing. The vision wasn't aligned. The comparison you gave was, like Cheers, right? But he took it to the next level, actually offering beer and all of that. So we're just kind of talking about how you regained your facility back?
Well, so we actually didn't regain it. We just completely moved out and started fresh.
Okay.
And so we moved about a mile or so down the street, maybe 2 miles down the street, and we were able to reinvent ourselves and become what we started out as, and then and just bring it back to who we were. That was an amazing experience, losing the gym, because we definitely got away from like who we were as not only business owners but as people who were trying to create a business. And so that now that we had this, I don't want to say this financial freedom, but we had a nice little goose egg. We were able to just step back and say, what do we want to create? And like, what's our perfect situation? And that's exactly what we did.
So with the new facility, then, is it fully designed around the Fit and 42, or is it, accommodate both people that aren't in the Fit and 42 program? What's the, kind of walk us through what the new facility's like?
So the thing is this, Fit and 42 is about creating long-term habits. And so at the time we were running 3 classes of Fit and 42 a day. One before work at 5 a.m., one at 9 a.m., and then one at 6 p.m. So if you're gonna come in 6 days a week to train with us at one of those times, you're gonna get into the habit of waking up and actually like designing your lifestyle around your workout. So therefore, when you graduate, I have to have other options going on at those exact same times. And so that's exactly how we do it. Our gym is comprised of 3 rooms. We have the Fit and 42 room. That's only for people in the program. No one else is allowed in there. We have a large like group class room, and then where we do our training option. So we have, at any given point in time, there's 3 groups in our gym. And so when you graduate Fit and 42, you just go into one of the other 2 rooms.
Yep.
Awesome. So that's,
yeah. Love it, man. So I know that this has taken off to such a point where now you guys are even licensing it and helping other facilities all throughout the country incorporate this inside their facilities. Like, what created the idea or the demand for that? How did that evolve?
I'm not sure. It evolved because this idea was something I think every trainer gets into training to change lives. And you get focused on changing lives, and chances are that you start losing yourself along the way. Most trainers work maybe 15, 20 hours a day, but only train like 8 people. They're spread out throughout the day. There's not much of a life there outside of helping people. And it's an extremely noble profession. The issue becomes if you're doing it in a personal training environment, which is great, but you're only helping 1 to 2 people out in an hour. There's a ceiling as to how much let's take our heart out for a minute and talk financials. There's going to be a ceiling as to how much you can make per hour. I could have 50 people in a Fit and 42 classroom training with me, paying me anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for 6 weeks. So there is no ceiling for me. So on top of we created this and we wanted to get it out to people because we've lost it all. So this was born out of necessity for us and how we wanted to change the industry and actually help more people at one time. In doing so, it changed our lives. And I know 90% of the gym owners I know don't pay themselves regularly. 90% of it. So this like me getting Fit and 42 out to gym owners is not, it's like just step back for a minute. Please understand this. I have 2 amazing gyms. And as a hobby, I created another business. And I'm getting that business, Fit in 42, out to other gym owners. I don't need to, but there's too many good people suffering right now and too many good people having to make those hard decisions. Like, do I pay my mortgage or my car payment, or do I keep my gym open so I can help people? And so for me, that was so important to show gym owners that there's another way. And here's my thing, guys. Like, I'm not like, personal trainers are like artists. You know, like, I'm not going to go in there, and 9 out of 10 don't want me to mess with their strokes and, you know, and the way they paint, right? There's an ego in this field. But we can take what you do, design Fit in 42 around your methodologies, and you'll be able to help way more people. And in turn, not only are you changing lives, but you're changing yours as well. So for us, man, it was just, you know, I go to all these functions. I'm a part of all these different masterminds. And one of my first questions when someone's telling me how awesome their gym is, because that's what we all do. I say, are you paying yourself? Yeah. And then all of a sudden the curtain comes down, man. And it's sometimes when I can, and it's like, we deserve better. Like, we're in such a noble field, and all we're spending 18 hours a day helping people. Like, you don't need to be like driving around a Ferrari and have, you know, wearing a fur coat with a ton of gold around your neck, but you should be able to take a vacation. You should be able to do nice things with your family. I couldn't have a family. My wife when our ship was sinking, I've always wanted to be a family man. That's my big goal in life. And I approached my wife and I was like, let's do it. And she's like, are you nuts? Like, I'm supporting you. How am I supposed to support you and kids? And like, we all know, I'm a Marine. Like, you don't take that well. Like, I feel like I'm an old-fashioned guy. and hearing my wife say that really that was a hit to the groin. Yeah. Big time.
Nah, you know, and what I think's so cool about it, man, is, you know, when you're training in your gyms, you know, yeah, you can impact those 150 people that are going through those classes a day. But then when you start training the leaders, you know, if you've got 10 other people doing what you're doing, now you can impact thousands of people a day compared to just the 100, you know, right? So
absolutely,
you know, and I love it. And I always look at the gym industry today, man, with the, you know, the Planet Fitnesses of the world charging $10 a month, and it's like, man, if you don't get creative and figure out how to solve problems in a win-win platform like this, dude, you're gonna sink, man. We see it all the time in this industry. So much bricks and mortar.
Well, Planet Fitness is funny because their business model is, let's go so cheap that people won't cancel when they're not using it. I don't have that luxury. I don't have 20,000 square feet. You know, just understand this. If everyone who has a Planet Fitness membership showed up to work out at the same hour, the fire marshal would shut them down. Yeah. Like, so the whole that I'm not going to attack all big gyms, but a lot of big gyms that are price slashing are trying to get it to where you, the consumer, are saying, how many of us have like Hulu or Netflix and don't use it all the time? Right. Anybody like, it's so cheap, I'm not gonna I'm gonna watch it eventually, so I'm not gonna cancel it. That's why people go down to $9-10 a month, is so it's too cheap for you to take on the hassle of canceling. But we also don't want you to go, because then you're gonna fill up space, and if everybody showed up, then that's not good. Where us little guys, it's all customer service, man. A good friend of mine, Mark Fisher, said you can't have a culture without a cult. And it's a great way to put it. like, what do you stand for inside your gym? And like all your people who come through your doors should be a representation of that. And especially if you get to the point where we're at, where we pick and choose our members. Like, I only have so many hours of the day, and I want to make sure I'm with like great people. And I want to make sure that people aren't getting into our facilities and they're going to like murky up the waters. So like you got to be really selective of your tribe and not allow the wrong people in, but also you're going to get I know how it is. At first, you're going to take anybody and everybody, and then you're going to find out, especially those cheap guys, like they're the ones who complain the most, and they just don't believe in what you're doing. And if it's $19 a month or $10 a month, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, so if you're paying me $200, $300, $1,500 a month, you obviously want to be there.
Yeah, you know, and when you really break it down, it's like those big box gyms, dude. I mean, they're just preying on the fact that you're never gonna go. Big initiation fees, you know, low monthly so you don't cancel. But like you said, they don't want you in there. They don't want you getting results, you know, right? Which is kind of the opposite of what the industry should be. But it's just where it's taking that direction, which is scary, man. Yeah, let's talk for a moment, dude, about because I know that now you're working with this program with gym owners all over the United States. We have a lot of gym owners that listen to this, or people that are really interested in that space. But, dude, they're freaked out because they're like, well, how do I combat that big box, low monthly? And you've really packaged this up, dude, where it's like, hey, we unpackage this to you. We have the back-end system. I don't want to say that people, it's guaranteed success. They got to do the work and follow the formula, you know, but if they do the work, dude, and follow the formula, they're going to succeed at it, right? So what does that look like? And if somebody wanted to get involved with that or learn more, how would they reach out to you to do that?
All right. So first, if you have any questions, email me, Casey, Casey at fitin42.com. Also, I'm all over social media. Casey Washak, Washak on Facebook, Instagram. So, like you said, you have to do the work. But if you ever noticed, and I'm talking to gym owners, the people who usually spend the most money in your gym are the most committed. And that's what we're looking for with Fit in 42 is I want 100%. We don't call it a transformational program. We call it a full immersion, focused energy educational program. I want you fully immersed. Like, you are going to go home and you're going to figure out there's a lot of things we ask them to do. Like they're supposed to batch their food every week. So spend a few hours on Sunday and cook all your food for the week. Now you're planning the week ahead. You're going to have all your meals ready. You're never going to get caught, you know, not knowing what to eat and then having to like go through Del Taco or any other fast food joints. So there's a lot of things we are asking of these clients, and price is one of the ways we hold them accountable. It has to sting. We've had people take out loans to do this program, and it was like, oh man, that's amazing. This person wants in. We've had people who sit there and juggle, like I'm watching them juggle finances. Well, we can do this, we can do that. And those are people, when you're watching them do that, you know they're fully committed. So obviously the gym owner then, so I look at it like this, and this is what I tell gym owners. Stop asking me how I get people to pay $1,500 to do the program. Instead, ask yourself, what would you do for them if someone handed you a $15 check and said, you got 42 days to get me in shape? And it changed the way I think. So that's what we did. I look at every person who writes me a check or hands me their credit card, they're challenging me. They're saying, Guy, like, I'm putting my life in your hands. Let's see this thing work. And that's the way we handle our gym owners. When our gym owners sign up, like, I only take people in a 5-mile radius. So if you're a gym that signs up with me, I'm not taking your competitor down the street. Yeah. So I need to make you successful because that's the only way my brand grows. I need to make you successful because you know 100 other gym owners. And so each person who signs up with us, like, you're not going to fail. Yes, we have it from start to finish, even what to do before the program, a marketing cycle, a 4-week marketing cycle before the program starts, how to sign your clients up after and keep them ongoing. But also, you have each other, which is really neat. You have the fact that everyone's looking at what we created, like, through their own set of eyes, and that's why it's a license. I didn't want to care what color your baseboards were. I want you to be able to put your flavor on it and make it yours, because guess what? When these people go through 42 days of our program, they're then going to be immersed into your culture. So our culture and your culture have to converge, and they have to mix. So there can't be a me and you. It has to be us working together on making this thing successful. And so far, there hasn't been one gym that hasn't 4 times their investment in the first year. So we charge $1,500. I know gyms that charge $2,000. I know gyms that charge $1,000. So we do about 4 to 5 of these programs a year. So it's really hard not to get your return on your investment.
Yeah, and the cool
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. I was just gonna say the cool thing is they still have their other revenue streams from daycare, the aerobic classes, the juice bar. I mean, this is just an additional revenue stream where you can go out there and make some damn good loot. I mean, you do the math on how many of those you do a year, and you got 3 a day. I mean, that's pretty damn good money.
So we've had, in my town of Palm Desert, California, we've had 2,500 people go through the program. So, I mean, you can do math.
And your overhead's like nothing, right? Because, I mean, it's the overhead you already have anyway.
Exactly. So you already have the staff. You're going to spend a little money on Facebook ads. So it's more about the sweat equity. It's more about you and your staff each day giving these people an experience. Most of the people who are joining the program either haven't been in the game for a long time, they haven't been working out for a long time, or they've never been in it. So you have to, we always say you have to be their third place. You have to bump Starbucks and become their third place. They have got work, they've got their house, and then the third place where they love to hang out has to be the gym with you and your staff. And that's how you keep somebody long term, is you show them people who either haven't been working out in a long time or have never worked out. You're going to give them a complete support system. You're going to hold them accountable. This isn't the biggest loser. This isn't like, I'm a Marine. We're not yelling at people. We have to show them. I mean, most people are coming in broken. Like, you hold a mirror to somebody and ask them what they see, and they're going to pick themselves apart. They're going to give you 20 things that they don't like instead of 20 things they do like, or any. So you know this as gym owners and trainers, you see potential in people before they do. And that's what we have to do on a daily basis, is keep it positive, point out their little successes, their little mini wins, and we do that day by day by day. But we got to be real. They signed up for this. They know exactly before they put pen to paper what they're getting into. So the minute they try to veer left and veer right, I say it's like bowling with bumpers. Like, they tell us what they want to achieve, and we're going to hold them to it. Every time they try to go left or right, those bumpers are up, and we're like, no, remember why you're here. Remember what you signed up for. Remember crying in my office telling me why you wanted this. So forego that piece of pizza. Forego that wine. Like, remember, you're here for a bigger purpose.
Yeah, I love it. I heard a quote one time that a great coach can give you a hug and kick in the ass in the same conversation.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly, man.
Do you get a lot of repeat people that come through? Because I would imagine, like, hey, if I just went through this experience, like, I'd want to keep going through it. Do you get a lot of that?
We do. That's a slippery slope because people get like addicted to the environment. So what ends up happening is like, and that's the beautiful part about using the staff you already have, right? Is they're gonna get not only addicted to the environment, but they're gonna become like best friends with your staff. So luckily, your staff is also going to be helping them after the 42 days.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, hey, now you're going to be training with me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're just going to keep this sucker going. So it is a slippery slope because we don't want this to turn into like a safety net. This is supposed to be something you do to like get your mind right and to get you to be able to work out and eat right and change the way you're thinking on a long-term basis. And we don't want this to turn into some sort of like crazy fad diet they do like before a wedding. I mean, people will do it to get ready for a wedding, but I don't want them to do it for every event. Like, I feel I failed if that happens. But to answer your question, we do have repeaters. We do have people who, and I'll tell you what, it's most of the people who decide not to stay. And they're like, I got it. And so we always tell them, like, look, you're family. I spent 6 weeks, 6 days a week with you and talking to you via Facebook and messaging and texting. Like, reach out if you need anything. And some people, get a little embarrassed and they don't want to reach out. But once they hit rock bottom, they know exactly where to go again. Yeah. And then it's just our job not to have them repeat this pattern again. Like, look, you tried to do it on your own last time. It didn't work. So you need to stay here. Yeah. And so if you listen to the way I'm talking, I change the conversation. A lot of gym owners are like, here's our 3 options. Which ones would you like? I say no. So we take on more of a doctor's office feel. You come in and you say, man, Casey, here's where I'm at. Here's what I need. And I say, here's the best solution for you and here's why. So do you want me to help you or do you want to take the cheapest option? So I don't hold out the three options and say, which do you choose? Because I'm the expert. They're coming to me for help. I'm not putting it back in their hands. So in many cases, I'm saying, look, you got to do Fit in 42. Here's what that entails, and here's why you need to do it. And all I'm doing is just regurgitating what they've already told me. And they've told me why they need me and why they fall short and their obstacles and all these different challenges and problems they're facing. And I'm going to give them the solution. And that's it. If they don't want to do it, fine. But I get to sleep at night because you turned it down and then I turned you down. Yeah. Obviously, I think my gym's the best place for everybody. But if there's any gym owners listening to me right now, when you're sitting across from someone and they're 300 pounds and they only eat once a day and they haven't worked out in 20 years and they say to you they want your cheapest large group class option, you're like, in your head, you're like, shit, you're going to get slaughtered in there. You're going to be with people who've been with me for 6 years and they're monsters. And you're going to get swallowed up in there and you're going to feel so crappy about yourself, you're not going to come back.
Or get hurt.
So,
right?
Yeah. And so, or they're going to get hurt. But obviously we all have, I'm thinking if you're listening to this and you're entrepreneurial, you've obviously taken the steps to make sure you have a quality staff and a quality product as far as, getting your people results. But there's somebody. So do you have an option for that 300-pound person who hasn't worked out? And they don't eat right. So that's why we call it full immersion. We're going to dump you into Fit in 42, where we're going to throw everything at you, and then we're going to hold you accountable to it every day.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think too many people today are scared to be leaders. Right? They're just too busy trying to go out there and please everybody and be leaders. But the reality is, people need to be led. It's like, okay, man, I'm maybe I'm the manager at my work, and then I'm leading my kids and leading the household. Then, sorry here. My calendar popped up and I lost the screen here. But yeah, dude. Then when I go to the gym, man, it's like at that point in my life, a lot of people just want to be led. It's so I love it, dude. Something that we started talking about last week when we went offline, which I know is a passion of both yours and mine, is childhood obesity. Right? I mean, you got child obesity on a massive rise. You got fifth graders with they're developing type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, and if that happens at that age, like the chances of them making it to 70 years old is just non-existent, right? What does that look like? I mean, because I know that you're starting with the parents and trying to lead them with their households, but how do we start as a society, if you will, just combating that, man? Because it's becoming such a damn problem.
So it's funny, like you said, we were talking offline about this last week. We come at, so the cool thing about Fit in 42, and I tell people, so we do a wrap-up party, right? I don't think I've mentioned this online, but in my area, because the amount of people I get who go through this program, and because of the name, and now my affiliates can piggyback on our name and what we've created. We are in 5 restaurants with a Fit in 42 menu. So if you are in my town and you went to one of these 5 restaurants, you would open the menu and there's a Fit in 42 page. We are in 7 juice bars across our valley as well. So one of my things is if I'm hitting one of the parents, if one of the parents is going through this program, my goal is to affect what we call their circle of influence, their close family, their friends, and hopefully we're starting to affect change in the household. But too many times I'll get like parents, and let's be real, a lot of parents don't want to be the bad guys. They don't see their kids that often. Compared to, maybe when we were kids and stuff, but like they're working full-time jobs, they're trucking kids back and forth to different activities and events. And then they have like a good solid, like 1 or 2 hours with their kids a day, maybe. They don't necessarily want to be the bad guy. They don't want to dig their feet in and get into these battles with their kids over food and stuff. And a lot of times food is like the connector. It's the bridge. Hey, let's go, let's grab some pizza and talk about school. And you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate when I get a parent who's like, can you tell little Jimmy, what to eat? And I'm like, you buy the groceries. Doesn't matter what I tell him, because he can go to you and say, I want Lucky Charms. and you're going to end up buying them. So we actually 3 years ago we created Fit in 42 for kids, and this is one of my feathers in my cap, if I had one, is I'm extremely proud of this program, because the whole point of the program is to get the kids to affect the change in the house by incentivizing them. And get them to say, Mom, how can I help you tonight with dinner? Like, what do you need help with? Mom, I need more vegetables on my plate. Mom, let's do 15 minutes of exercise, because they get incentivized to do all those things. And then at the end of the program, the team with the most gets something. The kid with the most gets a prize too. So for 42 days, kids helping with dinner. Kids asking for more vegetables on his plate because he gets a point per vegetable. The kid is saying, Mom, Dad, little sister, let's get up. Let's do 15 minutes of exercise because I get a point per person who does 15 minutes of exercise. Now, entrepreneurs who are listening, they got to take pictures of all this. That's free marketing. I'm getting free marketing from the people who are going through this. Obviously, you don't take before and after pictures of an 8-year-old. So the way we judge progress has to be different. And we do it through points. We do it through knowledge. We do it through physical activity. We do it through assistance at home. And we do it through nutrition. So all of those different components have ways to earn points. They take tests. They got to tell me what protein is. And what are 5 examples of protein? 5 examples, they only get 3. They get 3 out of 5 points. So you might not be the most athletically gifted kid, but if you're the smartest, you're going to get more points than the athletically gifted kid. So it balances out. So our whole thing is we are trying to create leaders in this program, and we're trying to get them, the 20 kids we take every time we do it, we're trying to get them to go home and affect change. The parents who usually drop these kids off need us way more than the kids do. And I think a lot of times the parents don't want their kids to go through what they've been through with ridicule and just everything that goes with being out of shape and you know, your self-image. But the kid is going to then force the parent to change because the kid is going to get the parent involved. This can't be you do it. You go to this gym and do this thing while I'm going to sit on my ass and watch TV. No. The kid is going to come home and be like, get your ass up. We got to do 15 minutes of exercise. And my goal is that 15 minutes turns into 15 minutes, a half hour. Maybe it's every Saturday they're at the park, you know, day 43 and on.
Yeah. That's so epic, man, because, I mean, one, you're instilling the right habits and the right information, the right knowledge, so hopefully they carry on this for the lifestyle. But the leadership training, you know, a lot of these kids have never been forced to lead, dude, you know, and that becomes massive, man. And, dude, you're the first guy that I've ever had on, not just on the podcast, but I think the first guy I've ever talked to in the fitness space that whenever I ask this question about kids, they're always like, oh, well, it just starts with the parents. Right? It's not about the kids, it's about the parents. The parents need to take action. Well, dude, the reality is you got some 40-year-old that's 35% body fat that has their habits ingrained. Chances of them changing, you know, who knows what that looks like. You know, so I've always been frustrated of, well, dude, quit using that excuse and go out there and create something for the kids. And you're the first dude I've ever seen do it, man. So it's pretty damn epic, dude.
You know, I think we talked, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier. It was a week ago, right? But my mom died of a drug overdose. My dad's an alcoholic. Like, it doesn't start with the parents. If it was up to my parents, I'd be on meth or I'd be an alcoholic. At some point, the kid has to put the foot in the ground and say, like, this isn't me, but I'm going to help you as much as I can. Yeah. And so we need, through incentivizing, which I'm really not a big fan of. I don't think everyone should get participation medals and everything like that. That's why we do points. Like, if you don't earn the point, you don't get the point. So, but we need these kids to take ownership and realize that mom and dad are people too, and they have flaws, and their flaws don't have to be your flaws.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. I love that, dude. So is this part of the affiliate program too? Is it?
Yeah. So right now, the way we have it is, man, like, if you're doing Fit in 42, like, at this point, I just want to get Fit in 42 for kids out. So if you're doing Fit in 42, I'm going to give it to you as well. Now, the thing is the Fit in 42 kids doesn't have I guess you can do either or. But the reason why we did Fit in 42 kids is because Fit in 42 had a foothold in our area. And, like, Next Level Fitness, like, a lot of gyms have, like, kids programs and stuff. And so big thing is the way we position Fit in 42, it's supposed to be bigger than me. So when I It's pretty cool. I get to sit down and say, I created this. It's in 17 cities across the United States and Canada. It makes it bigger than me. The affiliates get to say, you're signing up for a program that on day one, there's 17 other cities across the United States who have people in the exact same spot you're in. And we're all going to be doing it. And so once again, it's bigger. It's not Joe's 42-day fat loss fix, right? It's something bigger than them. It's happening all over the country. So that's why we positioned the kids program as a Fit in 42 branch off, was because I can now say that, because there are gyms who are doing it, that this is happening all over the country. So it gives you more credibility as to, like, you didn't just come up with something and it's a crapshoot whether it works or not. It's been done, tried and true. We've been affiliating for the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. I've been personally doing these programs for 6. So, since 2010. They're proven methods. And they're always evolving, and we're always getting psychologists in. I just spent time with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup from the Soul, working with him on how to really, truly affect change in these people, and not just, just every program, there's somebody you're like, God, how did that one slip through? How did they not change? So it's like, what else did that person need? And I'm lucky to be in the position where I can make phone calls and meet with guys like these and say, like, what else can I do? Yeah. And they usually have great insight.
What keeps you, dude, in life, you personally, leveling up in the way that you do? Because we find so often that good is the worst enemy to greatness. You get to the point right now where, like, life's pretty good. I'm just going to kind of skate through, do our thing. But that's not you, right? You're this guy that's always leveling up, always trying to get to the next level. What keeps you leveling up and not accepting good enough in your own life?
Well, here's the thing is I've been blessed. There are affiliates who I feel are smarter than I am. And I hate that feeling. And so I constantly need to add value to them. I never want one of these guys, if you sign on with me, I never want you saying, like, I think I got it. Like, this guy, like, there's no new tricks in his bag. So I remember in the Marine Corps, I rose up the ranks pretty fast because my whole train of thought was, I'm going to be the best machine gunner there is, because then nobody can fuck with me. So when officers are asking, where should we put the machine gun? Get Washak up here. He'll tell us where to put it. So there's a level of respect. And so the thing is, there's always somebody nipping on your heels. So I think it's my competitive nature. Like, I always want to get better. I also think one of my sayings is I'm an acquirer of skills. With my background and my shitty upbringing, I'm very grateful in the fact that like where is the ceiling? What else can I do? And so it's kind of I just found my niche with fitness, right, and helping people. But I have a lot of other interests, and it's like, how good can I get in those? And so and like I said, I think there's also an integrity factor, where if you're handing me $1,500, I have to give you the best there is. And if there is somebody that I feel didn't get the results they should have, I need to seek out how I could have helped them more, so that doesn't become a trend. And so that's me, man. I'm competitive. I would like to think I have a ton of integrity, and I will always be the expert, especially at something I created. So keep trying to learn, but I'm going to be 2 steps ahead. And I will always be able to add value to the people who decide to join my tribe.
Oh man, and the reason I always ask that question, I mean, one, it's just always is interesting to see what drives people internally. But to a lot of outsiders that aren't in the entrepreneur space or in the growth space, like dudes like you and I, they're just about growth. They look at it as greed. Oh well, man, Casey just keeps pushing because he just wants to make more money. Like, when's enough? And they don't really understand what the driver is. It has nothing to do with money.
No, very true. But at the same time, money's a scorecard.
Oh, for sure.
I used to be, I was an athlete. I was an MMA fighter. I was a wrestler, right? I don't compete. I do jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but I'm not, that's not how I make money. So in business is a sport. And I love Mark Cuban saying, it's the ultimate sport because it's 24/7, 365. And so the scorecard is money. Yep. And so, like I said, when I'm meeting, there's not one gym owner who tells me how shitty his gym is. Everybody, it's funny because you meet a client and they tell you how shitty they are. They tell you all the flaws they have. You meet a gym owner, it's the exact opposite, or a personal trainer, and they tell you how awesome they are. And then there's one humbling question: is, are you paying yourself? Or are you paying yourself what you feel you're worth? And that's your scorecard. Unfortunately, Mother Teresa was a millionaire. She had a private jet. I'm not saying you got to have a private jet. That doesn't fall in line with my stuff. But the more good you do, the more good comes to you. So if you have nothing good coming to you, do better, do more good. and a lot of time that means investing in yourself. I hear Tony Robbins has 7 coaches. And this is a guy who coaches millions. I do presentations, so this is all in my different presentations. But Sir Anthony Hopkins, at any given film, he'll have 5 coaches, one watching his mannerisms, one watching his accent if he's supposed to have an accent, one seeing if they mesh well together, everything. So and then there's us, where a lot of times we feel like I know it all, and that's the really cool thing about being with these affiliates, but also being a part of different masterminds, is I get to see what a gym in Australia is up to. And maybe they're not revolutionizing how we do business, but I'm going to get little tidbits that I can add to my culture in my gym that are just going to enhance it. And so if you're not getting out and getting in these groups, and it's an investment, of course, you definitely should. You definitely should seek other people and get their views, especially outside your industry. Because then you get how people perceive us. One little tip for any fitness professional, especially if you're hustling and you're going to different community functions, have that glass of wine or have that beer. It shows you're human. Yeah. Now, if you're in a 12-step, don't do that. But here's the thing: is everyone already perceives us as being robots. You need to show them you're real, and a lot of times that's something we don't do, especially on our social media. We're all superheroes. We don't show that I'm having a bad day, or I don't. They don't know I drink. They don't know I eat pizza. They don't know anything. Instead, it's just 24/7 exercise videos. And you got to show the different elements of yourself so people are like, you know what? That guy makes sense. I kind of like that guy. I like what he stands for. And now I want to go to his gym and see what that's all about.
Yeah, it's badass, man. I love it, dude. So, I started this podcast, man, because I wanted to there's always quote-unquote gurus out there, right? And I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, but when you dive in deep, and I'm sure that you've invested a lot of money just to find out that these guys have never even done it, or it was just all a smoke and mirrors, if you will, right? So I wanted to create a place where We can interview doers like yourself, dudes that are in the trenches, that have built it, that have made it, that have maybe even lost it, how to rebuild it, right? So our listener base, so I could learn selfishly, right? I mean, this is how I get my self-development in, dude. But then, give back to others is a spot to really come and get their education from, to go out there and live the life that they want and know they deserve. So with that being said, man, any last piece of words, advice, inspiration they'd like to leave our listeners with, because they're listening right now because they want to go out there and create that epic life they know they want and deserve, and that's why they're here, man.
My big thing is whether you're just an entrepreneur, like if you get your mind to focus on, like, there's abundance everywhere. Like, I see businesses everywhere I turn, or businesses that are needed. If you're a gym owner, watch commercials. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to do the McDonald's Monopoly in my gym. I remember being a kid and going to McDonald's just to get the Monopoly chips, buying fries, eating a few, dumping them out, and then seeing if I got any Monopoly. Is there a way to create that in your business? No matter whatever business it is. Look at the Budweiser commercials and how they're attacking craft beers. In a they never mentioned craft beer, but they're like, we're not a hobby. We've been around for hundreds of years. So you need to figure out your voice inside your industry, whatever that is, but you got to look outside your industry for inspiration. And it's everywhere. You watch people like that. I'll tell you a quick story about Fit in 42. This goes back to it. So here's another thing you don't do. Do not validate your ideas by your competition. And here's what I mean. No one else is doing that in my town. Exactly the reason you need to do it. So a lot of you guys are hearing that I charge $1,500. A lot of you, for one person for 42 days. A lot of you guys automatically, hopefully you didn't log off, but you said there's no way I can do that. No one else in my town's doing that. Everyone else is charging $200 or so. Exactly why you need to do it. What if you got 5 people to pay you that? And then those 5 people are like, I'm with you forever. And then they pay you $200 a month. They pay you $2,400 a month. Those 5 people for a year. I'm sorry, not a month. So they pay you $200 for the year, or per month for the year. That's $2,400. 5 people. You just made $7,500 for the program. $10,000 a month. $1,000 a month. Oh my God, my math is all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm sorry, man. I'm all hopped up on coffee, and I love this question. So you see, 5 people paying you $2,400 a year after the program's over. That's an extra, $11,000. God, stay away from the math. See, I'm the creative guy, not the math guy. So, all right. So, too many people look to their competition to see what they can do. Somebody has to be first. Do you know how many competitors I have in my space right now trying to do a 42-day or a 6-week program? 12. And you know what the first thing they do is? They cut their price by at least a third. And then guess what? They're gone in less than a year. They might do 1 or 2 programs because they're late to the party. I own that party. I've been doing it for 6 years. And the funny part is every one of them laughed at me when I first started. You know why? Because most personal trainers multiply what you charge for personal training by 42. It's way more than $1,500. So they're like, oh my God, this guy's giving away the farm. They didn't realize it was a group, and I can get 50 people in one room in 1 hour. So they laughed at us because they thought we were the cheap option. Now everyone's trying to undercut us with price, but they can't, because not only do I own the party, I own the restaurants they go to. I own their the juice bars they go to. Trader Joe's, whenever I do a program, They put my logo on everything I approve of. Why? Because I give them value. I bring 50 to 75 people to those restaurants. I bring 50 people to go shopping on a Sunday morning, their slowest day. And I tell them exactly what they need to buy. And they're all spending $100, $200 per trip. And guess what? Because I told them to go to that Trader Joe's, and they know where everything is, they continue to go to that Trader Joe's. So you don't think that Trader Joe's has a win by me being there? So most importantly, it doesn't matter what space you're in. Do not look at your competition and say, well, they don't charge this, they don't do that. The reason why we're successful is because we said, this hasn't been done. And I just happened to be at a spot where I was like, fuck it. I have nothing else to lose. And it didn't. I ended up with 32 grand in my hand, and I was like, holy cow. And I bought a house, I bought an Escalade, I went on a huge shopping trip, which I wouldn't advise. But going from broke and losing everything, my wife needed some nice things. She's been supporting me this whole time, and it was time for me to give back. So that's it, guys. Do not validate yourself by looking at what your competitors are doing or what they're charging. You have to either be the best or the cheapest. You can't be both. Yeah. I can go on forever, man. But
I love it, man. Powerful words, dude. And to our listeners, I know I end every podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation is truly just the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information, taking action on it that creates power in your world. Casey shared so many just amazing pieces of information. I don't care what industry you're in, dude. What he shared with you applies to every industry across the board. Then you can go out there and create massive success. So make sure you take something that you learn, implement it right now. And Casey, man, it's been a massive honor, dude. I literally could just pick your brain for hours and hours and hours, but I know we're probably rolling on 90 minutes or so already, and you're a busy man, dude. It means a lot. It's been an honor, bro.
This has been awesome, man. Josh, thanks for having me on.
Yep, truly appreciate it. And all right, you guys, we will see you next time.